Hi, today's good person to know is Sam Hill. He's head of architecture at Tesco's, who looks after all the online grocery businesses across all devices. And his talk was about the fourth chapter of retail, from market stalls to store presence to catalogue shopping to where we are now, the omni chapter, where customers can shop in all three chapters at once. I know it doesn't make much sense, but the processes required for running a business in chapters 2 and 3 all worked in silo with each other but were interconnected. And that was partly because the customer didn't really care about the mechanics of the business, but now they do because they want a seamless service. And so companies have to change the way they do things. Sam says at Tesco's they think about things in threes to help solve their problems. And they do this by having a 3-tier system in place: presentation, application and data, and have reshuffled the old landscape into these 3 tiers and then added an additional layer called services. Sam says always think about 3 questions: what you want to achieve, why you want to do it and how you're going to do it, and think about the why first, and says you should aim to have in mind to engage, to convert and to retain, and that most people think about the engagement only, but that's only the first step in the process. Now, I know running a business and all the mechanics to ensure you give your customer a seamless service is all very difficult and convoluted, and really this video just makes it so much more simple for you to understand what you should be doing too. So I hope you enjoy this video and thank you for watching.
Fourth chapter of retail. And that's really about people who use more than one channel with a retailer to shop. Let's talk about the history of retail. So market stalls, traders, merchants, there's all the traditional ways people sold goods. Mass industrialisation. It really started off with the likes of Boots, W.H. Smith's, Sainsbury's, those sort of brands, until about 20 years ago. And it culminated in sort of like the move to big sort of out-of-town stores, the big multiples, franchisees, concessions, and the complete transformation of the high street. The third chapter came along. That started in the 1980s really, with catalogue shopping. People started shopping from their home and then moved on with the advent of the internet. The fourth chapter then links all that together. You could call it the multi-channel chapter, the omni-channel chapter. It's customers who shop in all 3 of those ways. If you look at the second chapter of retail, we all had a whole heap of systems, all with 3-letter acronyms: point of sale, your warehouse management systems, your supply chain systems, human resources systems. The third chapter came along, so order management systems, customer relationship management again, and content management systems. And then to make all these work, we had to start linking them together. You tended to link your traditional systems together. Third chapter, we got all these box commodity systems, and we again had to link them all together. Like Tesco and probably most other e-commerce businesses that came from the second chapter into the third chapter, we started linking those 2 worlds together as well. And you end up with a very complicated connection systems. And then people then launch their websites. And you end up with this whole mesh of systems all interlinked together. From a customer's perspective, it's very confusing. As a customer, you obviously shop in store, you shop at home, you probably shop at work, and you shop with your friends when you're out and about. You've got a list of things you want to do, a list of things you want to buy, a list of things you want to find. It's about linking of systems. We tended not to see that customer as an individual. You tend to see them separately between all those different ways that they shopped. You'd much rather be seen in a joined up way across that world. So retailers need a single view of the customer, and customers want the retailer to see them as an individual as well. And we are thinking in threes. It actually can help solve a lot of problems. Customers are now fully in charge. They can choose where they want to shop, and they can go anywhere. Think of the high street now as the internet, and every single retailer has their pride sort of Oxford Street store sat next to you. The customers now freely choose to go in any one of those e-commerce stores, not just in the UK, but across any country in Europe and internationally. As a person, information is now at your fingertips. 30% of people get their news from social media. This shift is now much more about massive markets. The whole world is your market now as a customer. It's a massive market. As a customer, that's great. We've got maximum amount of choice. As a retailer, you could say that's a bit terrible actually, because the customer can go anywhere. All it takes is one little thing. At Tesco, we're trying to solve this by thinking in 3 tiers and looking at systems in terms of ones that present information, so customers or colleagues interact with them. Applications that do something, contain logic, work on that data. and data itself, how we store and manage and master all of our data. So you think about your UIs, and we've got a whole catalogue of UIs in Tesco. Every new project tends to bring along a new UI. Think of applications becoming services, a means of powering your UIs, a way of sort of supplying out information. And then you've got all your data. What you need to try and work towards is single masters of that data. So the data is only held one place. If you look at the old and the new, all of these systems contain UIs, data, business logic, all meshed together. What we need to do is think about it in those layers. If you reshuffle that landscape, in those two simple stacks, we only actually had two UIs in reality. Most of the others probably had a UI, but there's only two that matter. There's the point of sale where customers interact in a store, and there's a website where customers interact. Put the customer first. And inside all of those applications, they've all got heaps of data. What you really need to do is start thinking about that data and pulling it out, finding single masters of that information, remove all the batch processes that shunt data from one place to another, get your data inconsistencies, and actually just hold all the data together so it's all referenced in one place, so the logic can then share the same common data. Once you start doing that, you need to insert another layer over the top. Think of them as services. Think of them in terms of a service that deals with products, a service that deals with customers, a service that deals with order data, and one that deals with payments. Map those interfaces back into that heap of legacy that's underneath. As you build new systems, there's only one place to go to, one API for product data, one API for customer data, one API for creating an order, one API for handling payments. It's not an easy problem to do. And at the minimum, just have what we call UI logic, i.e. logic around understanding what the view is you want to give out to customers. And think about building those UIs in three ways. Put that the contents as the content the UI is itself created. Do it server-side. Do it where you're pulling that data together. Progressively enhance the UI you send to those devices. Start with the most basic form and then layer up the extra experience. The technique that everybody probably uses today should be the last one you use, and that's responsive. It's websites that reshuffle themselves as you move them on your phone. So they load a big website and then JavaScript kicks in and responds to the device and then removes bits of content and readjusts it. If you leave responsive to the end, you've adapted the content first, so you're only sending something a mobile phone can cope with. You've progressively built it up in layers to a format that the device can work on. You don't end up with that jumping around. And you can leave responsive just to actually handling when the user rotates their device from portrait to landscape. And when you're building out your new systems and building out new business functionality, new ways of trading, always think of three questions. What is it you want to achieve? Why do you want to do it? Then think about how you want to do it. Focused on the why first, then what they wanted to do, and then how to do it. There's also three steps to answer that question. We all probably know the traditional iron triangle, but you can't actually vary time. Time is a continuous moving thing. Better to have a different sort of triangle, focusing on analysis, build, and deliver. People use the term agile for this, or Scrum. There's so many different ways of talking about this. It doesn't really matter what you call or how you do it. You can even do this in a waterfall if that's your preferred way of working. But really get the mix right. Do those three steps and treat them equally. So simplify the question, keep going down to what really matters and then pushing that forward. And that's all to help answer the three aims of e-commerce. First aim is always to engage. Finding means of getting to people and driving people to your site. The step they miss is conversion. Converting those sales, converting those people to sales. Aim loyalty.